Wait, remember Jimmy Two Shoes? It was a show on Disney XD that came out in February of 2009 that, despite lasting for only 2 seasons, ended up having quite a bit of lore associated with it. Jimmy Two Shoes was created by Edward Kay and Sean Scott, focusing on the story of a kid named Jimmy Two Shoes that lived in Miseryville, the apparent worst place to ever live. This show genuinely surprised me. It has a unique palette and tone, also it has lots of creativity with the world building of Miseryville, but another interesting part of the series is found in the development, with its lost pilot and with its troubles in network censorship. So today we're going to talk a bit about that along with what the show itself was all about. Welcome back to the 25 Days of Fringe-miss, where there's going to be Wait. Double Fringe-miss. Aw, you only thought you were going to get 25 videos this year? Look at you. You look silly. But I'm here to fix that because I'm going to give you not only 25 videos, but I'm giving you 50 videos. I have 2 channels. That's 2 Fringe misses. Each day there'll be a brand new video on both channels for 25 days. I haven't slept in months. Enjoy the content. Or don't. Miseryville is our main setting, a place that is home to mutants, demons, and monsters alike, with weird geography and really fantasy-like deadly landscapes. And everything in Miseryville is exactly that, miserable. Our main character, James Jimmy Two Shoes, is equally the opposite of Miseryville. His optimism knows no bounds, and he'll stop at nothing to spread happiness and cheer to those around him. Jimmy is a 14-year-old kid, and it's kind of implied that he hasn't been in Miseryville very long. We, as the audience, discover new things along with him, experiencing the fish-out-of-water moments with Jimmy, but he doesn't seem to be upset that he's in Miseryville. In fact, Miseryville is very much Jimmy's home. It's got its inhospitable moments, being surrounded by lava pits, wastelands, and monster-infested forests, but for the most part, Jimmy is comfortable. His life focuses on whatever is just happening that day with his friends Beezy and Heloise, and specifically the way that Jimmy's optimism clashes with Lucius Heinous VII, whose job at reigning wealthy man is to spread misery and pain. Instead of explicitly being Lucifer, king of hell, he becomes Lucius, wealthy capitalist, owning and operating Misery Inc., where its workers are forced to build devices with the only purpose of making their lives more miserable. He is often accompanied by his assistant Sammy, who is actually inspired by some past peers of Edward's that he especially didn't like. He characterizes Sammy as pathetic and desperate. On the other hand, Lucius is a villain that Edward seems to respect more. In his own words, Lucius has quite remarkable powers, but doesn't use them most of the time because he likes to think that he's so smart that he can control a situation without using them. So I guess that's why he's focused on the emotional beef that he has with a literal child, because Jimmy just kind of unintentionally happens to dissipate misery wherever he goes.
We'll be right back to Jimmy Two Shoes. Now back to Jimmy Two Shoes.
To make it more interesting, his son Beezy is best friends with Jimmy, and technically 8th in line to inherit the corporate throne of Miseryville, but he doesn't care much about spreading misery like his dad. Instead, he takes on the role of Jimmy's friend. He's characterized as lazy, preferring to eat, sleep, and play video games, but despite him being characterized also as, well, dumb, throughout the series he shows that he is capable of being deceptive and motivated by selfish desires. So I guess even though their relationship is strained, he's not wholly unlike his dad after all. Heloise is a pretty cool character. Originally she was sent as a killer by Lucius to Jimmy specifically to torture him. Edward cites that he was inspired by some of his ex-girlfriends for her character, but regardless, she ended up falling for Jimmy's infectious charm and drops her initial agenda of torturing him. Her character went through a few changes, and in the series she is known not as a killer, but as a mad scientist who is also obsessed with Jimmy. Her character was created by Edward, but Sean is responsible for the look of Heloise, giving her the iconic scar on her forehead. While there's no set-in-stone lore for how she got it, Edward speculates that it could have happened in a number of ways, including her just being risky and doing dangerous things, or even a botched lobotomy. Her personality is well-rounded. As Edward explained her relationship with Jimmy, he said that sweet, innocent guys appeal to the last shred of humanity in her. So yeah, she does have humanity, and throughout the series, I guess Jimmy must bring out that last shred of it because she expresses a lot of relatable emotions. She's loyal and dedicated to her friends, she can be sensitive and kind, especially in the second season when we see her personality shift to be more cheery and bubbly, which is pretty hit or miss with some fans, because in speaking about the second season, you can clearly see how its dark comedy roots were sort of abandoned in favor of making the series in general lighter in tone. Sean paints the picture of Pee Wee Herman in hell as an early idea for what this series could be, be. He says the show evolved from that concept, and evolve it did. Instead of opting for a traditional base of the setting, they decided to reapproach the died and sent to hell trope in a classy way. The answer was alternate reality. This way, they could 1. Appeal to more people universally, and 2. Go in with a clean slate. They could make the rules if it was more like an upside-down world instead of the classic and admittedly restrictive 9 Circles of Inferno. And to understand exactly where Jimmy is, we have to talk about how Jimmy got there in the first place. Edward says that he views what happened to Jimmy as a misalignment. He speculates that before he was an average boy living in the suburbs with a white picket fence, helping an elderly person to cross the street when he's then hit by a bus. You know, he wasn't supposed to die type of thing. He's then sent to an upside-down dimension where everything is miserable and unpleasant all the time. Initially, it was created for Teletoon in Canada, who at the time, according to Edward, had a much more mature audience. Teletoon was apparently a bit more lax, at least compared to when the series got involved with Disney in the US. This is where they did some tightening up, with the bulk of its changes being later on in its production, mainly with airing in the US. With Disney, they faced a lot of problems, with even lighter humor like toilet humor. There was an episode called The Big Drip that did not air in the US because of this. But in developing the series, there wasn't that much creative suppression. Edward says that the series changed slightly here and there as it was passed around to different broadcasters who all had different tastes and views on the world and underworld. But the possibility of a darker version of this series existing and waiting to be uncovered is just too tempting for some fans. And it's just too hard not to pursue that. In fact, the majority of attention on the show nowadays focuses on Jimmy before all of the development. The infamous search for the Jimmy Two Shoes lost pilot has been something fans of the series or even just lost media hunters have been digging into. And I think with lost media searches, it's better left to those who are more qualified and who have done the digging and research already, the ones who have put extensive work into all that, and I do not want to discredit that. So in the description below, I have linked to a video from L Supersonic Q that is all about this exact subject, and they always do a great job when digging for and discussing lost media, so go check that out.
We'll be right back to Jimmy Two Shoes. Now back to Jimmy Two Shoes.
As far as what I think about the series, I truly appreciate a lot of the darker adjacent things to point out within it. It's a truly unique setting that contrasts with the main character, as Jimmy's attitude and nature is genuinely cheerful, making the things around him seem so much better than they truly are. I just find a lot of that joy hard to not like at all. I wouldn't say this show is up there with the best of them to come from this era, but there is a lot of fun with this cool premise to be had. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't love to see this premise done in more of an adult form to really play into the location inspiration a bit more, but since it's not that, it wouldn't be fair to compare it to what it never was. I think there is a bit of an older audience skew when it comes to a lot of the references or jokes found throughout the series, but it has a young at heart nature to it that makes it feel accessible to both a slightly older crowd and a younger one. There's a lot of energy coming from how quick and spunky the series is animated, and the voice performances all deliver an authentic representation of who these characters come off to be. The second season does come off a lot less exciting in the fact that it feels forcefully a bit lighter in tone, but I wouldn't say that there's nothing of value there. It just feels like overall part of the formula is missing, and there is a cool concept to play around with here that, if done in a more mature or even just further explored in less restrictive way, would be pretty fantastic to see.
This double Fringe Miss is brought to you by Gamer Subs.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there. Gamer Subs, am I right? I know we've been down this road before, but look at the facts. Less than a calorie per serving. It's sugar-free. Supporting them really helps support me, so thank you to everyone who has been supporting them. You guys are awesome. Use code FRINGE, 10% off. Gamer Subs. Jimmy Two Shoes had in total 52 episodes, which is 104 segments. It ran for technically 2 seasons, and it was a solid run at the end of the day. There was a lot of confusion with a potential season 3, which left some Canadian fans disappointed when they sat down for what they thought would be season 3, and it ended up just being the second half of season 2. So the fans of the show wanted, no, needed a 3rd season, but unfortunately for them, no more episodes of Jimmy Two Shoes were ever made. I would love to know your thoughts on Jimmy Two Shoes if you've ever seen it, and what you took away from what the show was at the end of the day in the comments below. I've been Jordan Fringe. Thanks so much for watching. Like and subscribe. Later.